Okay.
Hey, testing, testing. If you are on the Zoom, can you type in the chat if you can hear us right now? Awesome. Thank you to all doing that. We really appreciate that. We will be getting started in just another minute or two. I just want to make sure we have enough time for everyone to hop on the call. So thank you for your patience. Thank you.
I'm getting a okay. It's needed.
I remember normally when.
Yeah.
Come on, Bryce. This is huge.
Testing, testing. Can people on the Zoom hear me with this mic? Okay, thank you for everyone who's pouring in with that answer. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're gonna do one last mic test with Maggie's.
Testing, testing. Are you able to hear me over the Zoom? Thank you.
I'm gonna call to order.
Don't.
Awesome. With that, I am going to go ahead and call this meeting of Student Senate to order. Since we're in person, those of us who are in person will rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance right now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Up next, I'd like to begin the Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, February 25th with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is the home of 4 federally recognized Native nations, the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was, and still is, stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. With that, I will now turn it over to Speaker Pro Tempore Maggie Billman for first roll call.
Thank you, Nathan. Atchison.
Here.
Bain. Booz.
Here.
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Brown.
Here.
Brummett. Oh, excuse me, Bruce. All right, Brummett's excused. Bruna. Burke.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Carr. Clements.
Here.
Colburn.
Here.
Crosslow.
Here.
Diaz de Leon.
Here.
Delavu.
Here.
Doc.
Here.
Dunlap.
Here.
Frederick.
Here.
Glasscock.
Here.
Grills.
Here.
Gomez.
Here.
Hamlin. Harmon.
Here.
Hurd. Heimerman,
Here.
Hernandez, Hutchings,
Here.
Jambunathan,
Here.
James Rose,
Here.
Kidd,
Here.
Levi, Loya, McKee,
Here.
McVeigh, Muthukumar, Knoll,
Here.
Nunning, Phillips,
Here.
Panikatu,
Here.
Porter, Purdy,
Here.
Richenberg,
Here.
Rodriguez, Rossi,
Here.
Shear,
Here.
Shunjay,
Here.
Snyder Blaine,
Here.
Bonts,
Here.
Wallace, Wells, Willis Jackson,
Here.
Willis Reese,
Here.
and Windholtz.
Here.
Okay, is there anyone whose name I did not call? Okay, let me just go back and fix a couple. And- All right, that puts us at 39 senators present and 5 excused. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. With that, we will move into our first open period. But I'd just like to give a general reminder to everyone that if you are in the room, please remember that like speaking rights, speaking order, motions, etc., still operate via the Zoom chat so that we have equal footing. And like as speaker, I can determine who to call on in what order that way. So please remember, if you have questions, put that you have a question in the chat. You can say it out loud in the room. You don't have to type it all out, but to indicate so, I won't call on people who are like holding up their hands. I'm only gonna call on people if it's in the Zoom chat so we can still engage just as productively with those on the Zoom. So with that, we will move into our first open period. Our first open period speaker tonight is Linda Tiener, who's coming to us from the UFM Community Learning Center. So Linda, at this time, feel free to unmute and you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I was just being amazed at how interesting it is to try to run government in this kind of environment where half are live and half of them are Zoom. What a challenge we've had the last year. I'm Linda Tiener, the Executive Director at UFM Community Learning Center, and I wanted to stop by tonight and just update you on the things that are happening at UFM and the activities we continue to offer. UFM is a campus and community educational resource. We offer engagement opportunities that link the campus and the community, and we've been doing that for 52 years with the support of SGA. The largest project we have is organizing and coordinating our non-credit classes. Right now, we have 150 classes that are being offered for non-credit, and we have about another 100 that carry K-State credit through K-State Global Campus, sponsored by 4 different university departments. We get a lot of K-State students who do a number of things for us. One is teaching classes for us. Our classes can be taught by anyone in the campus or community who's interested. In fact, the range of age for instructors at UFM is 6 to 91. So anybody can teach, anybody can learn at UFM. And we have a lot of K-State students who share a passion that they have just for what they're doing or to gain some experience in their major or things they're working at. For example, we've had a lot of instructors in the cooking area come from hospitality management, both undergraduate and graduate. We've had education students who have worked with us, particularly last summer, doing some math tutoring for high school students. During the pandemic, it was all on Zoom. It was a terrific program and very helpful that those students offered. We have students that teach things like guitar lessons. They do drama classes for us, pet care, crochet, knitting, just about anything you can think of, we've had students involved with, and we appreciate that and need our support of both our students, faculty, staff, and the community to make UFM really work. We also offer experiences to students in a number of other areas, such as internships. Sometimes we've had as many as 4 or 5 interns at UFM learning various things that help them complete their degrees. We have a mentoring program for high-risk teens and generally have anywhere from 14 to 20 K-State students each semester who work with those high-risk teens, helping them develop better social skills. We have a program called Project Excel that works with special needs adults. And each year we have in the neighborhood of 150 or 200 K-State students from the College of Education that partner with us to work with those students and to teach classes for them as well. We have participants in the Manhattan Community Garden and various other kinds of special projects that come from our K-State student support. We also partner with a number of campus organizations for various kinds of events and activities and engagement activities. SEA comes to mind particularly. We've done several things with them. We work a lot with leadership studies and some of their outreach programs as well. Last year, we had over 3,400 K-State students involved in UFM activities, and that's unduplicated count. So if they took 10 classes, they were counted one time. I came here tonight particularly because I wanted to express the appreciation that UFM has for the long-term commitment that SGA has made to partner with UFM. UFM started in the spring of 1968. It was started by K-State students and faculty as a way to bridge communication between the campus and the community during a very volatile time on campus. We published our first catalog in January of 1968, and SGA provided the funding to underwrite the cost of printing that catalog. We have received annual funding from SGA every year since that time to support non-credit programming and outreach. And we are so appreciative because we couldn't do the things we do without that support. I especially wanted to say thank you for the support during the difficult funding year that you all have had, we all have had in the COVID situation. You were very generous to continue supporting UFM at the level you did this year. We appreciate it more than you can imagine, and it has kept us going. It has kept our office going. It's employed students to help with the program as well. So if you have any questions or anything that you would like to visit with me about, please email me at lteener@ksu.edu, and I would be glad to visit with you about projects, ideas, things that may be able to expand UFM and the things that we do. And I'm really looking forward to the coming year when we can start moving out of the restrictions. We're going to be able to offer more classes on campus that we've not been able to do. We're going to be able to bring things back. I'm really looking forward to that. I look forward to your continued support and participation. So thanks very much for the opportunity to share with you tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight, Linda. Does anyone in the body have any questions for our guest? If you do, please just indicate so in the chat at this time. Caucus Leader Kidd, yeah, you have a question.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Speaker Rothwell. Linda, thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's good to see you in a different space than one of our other meetings or other organizations that we're both a part of. My question for you is, for wanting to teach a class, like, can you tell us more about like what that vetting process looks like, or how are you guys ensuring that people that are teaching these classes are professionals at whatever they're teaching?
Well, UFM does not require you to be a professional in the non-credit world. What we do is someone will contact us and say, hey, I'd like to teach a class on basket weaving. And we say, that's great. We visit with the person to find out what they know. We are looking to make sure that they have the skills to share that they have the ability to show up and teach a class, follow through with things, and conduct themselves in a reasonably professional way. Once we feel like the person can handle the job, then they complete a small agreement with us. There is a form to fill out then that talks about when you want to teach the class, where you want to teach the class, how many times you want to teach. We'll help you find a space if you need that, and we move on from there. We do not require, for the non-credit program, we don't require that you have to have a degree. For the credit program, we do. You have to be vetted by the department and have to have professional skills and abilities as a faculty member would. At UFM for non-credit, we don't require those kinds of things. For example, we had a 6-year-old. You want to know what that 6-year-old taught? Well, the 6-year-old taught a class with her 10 and 12-year-old siblings on how to take care of rabbits. They were a long-time rabbit family in our community, well involved with 4-H, and they wanted to share how you raise and take care of rabbits. And so they taught a one-time class on how to do that. We had a 10-year-old teach a class on doing those rubber band bracelets that were popular a while back. We had a 16-year-old teach a pre-ballet class. We have a lot of college students share things as I gave examples of, and then we have people of all ages who share their passion and their interest in something. Thanks for asking that, Marcus. And all you need to do to get involved, if you go to our website, which is tryufm.org, that's TRYUFM.org, there is a place where it says teach a class, and that will start the process for you. So you send an email, somebody will get back to you, and we'll start the vetting process.
Are there any additional questions for our speaker tonight? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in tonight, Linda. We really appreciated the update from UFM.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a while since I've been here, and I kind of miss coming to SGA and talking to you all. So it was good to be here tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening and take care of yourselves.
Awesome. Our next guest speaker tonight is Bill Spiegel from the Campus Recycling Center. Yeah, Bill is actually with us in person. So Bill, feel free to come up and grab a mic, and I will get your presentation screen shared.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me have the privilege of talking to the SGA. As if you know, my name is Bill Spiegel, and I run the K-State Recycling Center. I've been doing this for probably the past 10 years, and without the students, we wouldn't be where we're at today, because students are our future. We're going to try to make this world different one day at a time, one step at a time. And that's the reason why I'm here now. I just can't stand behind a podium. So just hope people don't mind that. I got to move. I'm up here several times a year. Kelly knows I'm here. A lot of students know I'm here. We have now, the big thing of the year is Recyclemania. It's not Recyclemania this year. They changed the name of it. It's called Race to Waste Zero. Believe me. So you'll hear some commercials coming up, and they'll probably try to motivate you. But we are going to do this together as a team. I don't do it. I just pick it up and I process it and I make sure it gets recycled. You're the one that makes it happen. If you don't know where the recycle center is on campus, which I hope everybody does everybody know where it's at? Does everybody know we have a recycle center? Okay. Now, there'll be a little quiz later, make sure we know what we recycle on campus. So if I call you out, you don't know, say just come up with something, okay? Now, what we're gonna do is, we are located behind Weber Hall, right? You can't miss it. We're open Monday through Friday, all day. On weekends, we closed because we used to have outside vendors come and drop all their stuff off, which was a complete disaster on Monday. And it was a mess, and it would go all the way up to CCDC. It was a mess. So on weekends, we are closed. You can walk it through. Now, that's the entrance right there. Next slide, please. This is what we did for the students. The student government made me and helped me change this because we used to hand sort everything. Paper, one bin, this, one bin, that, one bin. They go, Bill, you got to make it convenient for us. You got to make it easy. So we came up with one-stop drop. You put everything in one bin except for glass. You can't get that wrong. Oh my God, you can't get that wrong. You can't make it any more simpler. We've got over 24 bins at my location at the recycle center. On campus, we have over 66 outside blue bins. You can't miss the blue bins, even though they're not purple. God, blue reminds me of KU. But you know what? They lost the other night, so I'm happy as heck. And they're out of the top freaking 15, so I'm happy. And they're not even in Recyclemania. They can't even spell it. They haven't been in it, to be honest with you, in the last 6 years. I even sent an email to them. Hey, how come where's my competition at 100 miles down the road? And they, Bill, we're still working on it. We'll get back with you more to follow. I said, that's what I heard 6 years ago. And I come on, people. Now, the only competition I have is north of us by quite a few miles is Iowa State. But don't worry, we got about 6 weeks to go, okay? Now, I'm not gonna do it. We're gonna do it together, not just me, okay? I don't care if it's a mess, if I gotta work more hours a day, I'll do it. But we all gonna work together. Now, came up with that, can't get it wrong. One-stop drop, easy. Everything goes in the bins, from plastics, 1 through 7, paper, cardboard, aluminum cans, tin cans, you can't get it wrong. Everything you have nowadays. Does everybody recycle here? Don't say yes, because I know it doesn't. But everybody should. We can't make it more simpler on campus. There's tons of them in the buildings too, so you can't get it wrong, okay? Next slide, please. Okay, here's one of my songs. If you can't, don't recycle here. Listen to it on 5 radio stations in the community. Yeah, let's see, K-Man, K-Rock, 96.3 Pop Country, and K-State's own radio station. You can play one song. Hey, K-Staters, let's be the hero and aim for zero in the race for waste from January 31st to March 27th, 2021. And remember, we are all one when it's done. K-State. Okay. It's just one of these things, way to get, I know everybody listens to their iTunes and iPhones and all that. But if you do listen to it on your radio in your car or whatever, tune into one of those stations, you'll hear me. Just outside before this, I heard 2. One when it's done. Go K-State. That's all right. Okay, next slide, please. Hey, K-Staters. Now here's where since I've been here, way back in 2012, look where we've grown from 178 to 66 or 54. That is good progress. The diversion rate went from 23 all the way to 38. That's what makes a difference. We keep things out of landfill, we find a home for it. We make other uses for it. Is everything recyclable? No. Everything goes, Bill, yes, it is. No, it ain't. Biological things aren't, needles aren't, things like that. But majority of things on this campus are. And we've grown to that. And that numbers don't lie. Ask my director. She goes, Bill, numbers don't lie. Trust me. Spreadsheets, I despise Excel spreadsheets. But do I do them? Oh, yeah. Today we went over a 9-column spreadsheet over budgets. Oh, my God. Oh. But it works. Because if I get my way with students' involvement in recycling, that's when it helps my effort grow. You know what I mean? We make the effort. Like I told Richard Myers, President Richard Myers, excuse me, last year, Bill, how do you do it? I said, sir, I don't do it. We do it as a team. I said, you can't spell I in team. He goes, that's right, because I'm retired military and so is he, so that's how we know. But it's just, we work together. One common goal to do this for a better environment. So numbers don't lie. Next slide, please. Here we go. We get this one. Boom.
Let's set the pace and start the race to eliminate the waste at K-State University. From January through March 2021, countless ways to recycle. Just look for the blue bin and put your recycling in. Go K-State.
Yeah, I made them shorter. They used to be 25 seconds long. Too much for me to talk. So I made them shorter. Next slide, please.
Let's set the pace.
And there's what Recycle Mania is, all the way to the end of March. Now, everything we recycle, you can't get that wrong. Do I read everything to you? No, because we're all college graduates. We're all college. I can't read a PowerPoint slide. We all know how to read. But my biggest number is the bottom, the fourth one from the bottom. We won the last 7 out of 8 years because of students, because of faculty. We do it together. My biggest competition this year, K-State is not University of Texas. They're still frozen down. They're cold. I mean, but Iowa, that's my competition now. And what I always do is I did for Texas. Everybody sees the numbers in K-State today. Yeah, we're number 1 here too. What I do is I hold back a few numbers every week. So instead of if I did 5,000 pounds, I put down 3,500 and I always push it over 1,500. And I do this every week. So at the end, I blast it one good time. Because that's what I did with Texas. Texas, oh, it's not cheating, it's good. Okay. Because Texas, the year I lost was 4 years ago. We had to put our numbers in by 3 o'clock. So I put my numbers in at 2:30. Well, once you put your numbers in, everybody sees them. We lost by 1/100th of a point. I said, that would never happen again. Never, ever, ever. So last year when we won, at 2:59, boom, I hit X. I ain't done. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, will we win it this year? We're gonna do our damn best. We are. I would tell you, there's 2 competitions. There's per capita and there's total diversion. Right now, Iowa State's got a big lead, but it just started. So, and they're the same as us online. So I don't know how they're doing it, but it doesn't matter. We're going to pull it. And per capita, we're almost tied. I'm at they're at 0.666 and I'm at 0.669. So we're super close. We're going to win both of them or definitely one of them because of you people. That's what's going to make it happen. Not just because of me and I'm up here talking. We're going to get involved. And everybody hear me on Zoom? I hope so. Get involved. So if you're not here in person, fraternity, sorority groups, bring your stuff in on campus, bring your stuff to the recycle center, or email me. You'll find out my email address later. I'm here for you. Call me, text me, email me. I'll answer. Next slide, please.
Strive to drive to the Big 12 winner's circle in the race to zero waste at K-State University from January through March 2021. Countless ways to recycle. And remember, teamwork is hard work because we are all one when it's done. We are K-State.
Yes, we are K-State. That's the reason why we're going to put it back on the globe again this year. Pandemic, no pandemic. I haven't had a day off since this pandemic. Ain't no matter. It's trash recycling don't stop. Trust me, it hasn't stopped yet. Oh, especially last week, it was frigid. It was frigid. But we were here, you know what I mean? Next slide, please.
Strive to drive.
We all work together as a team to make K-State the winner in the Big 12. Are we gonna do it? What are we gonna say? Are we gonna do it?
Yes.
Yes. And everybody goes, you can advertise, I can radio talk. Word of mouth is the best advertisement you can get. Students, make it happen. There's countless students throughout this university. They can make advertisement go so much easier than signs, billboards. Hell, nobody reads them anyhow. You know what I mean? But we all work together. Now, I know I'm not gonna be up here for, they gave me to what, 10 o'clock to talk? You know, because it's gonna be a long night for you. I mean, I'm done. But I've been up since 3:30 this morning, so I'm pretty wired. But next slide, please. There's my name, my email address, and my work. Now, if you can't get my work number, you can always text or call me at 785-341-1385. I can come to your organization, I can come to your groups, fraternities, sororities, I'm available. Not 24/7, but give me about 20 hours a day. No, we all work together. So let's just make it happen, not just during Recycle Mania, throughout the year. I just try to prevent all this stuff from going to the landfill to make a better place for it. Next slide, please. I think it's the last one.
Let's make the case and set the pace and win the race to zero waste from January through March 2021. And let's keep this drive alive and look us up at k-state.edu/recycling. Let's make the case and set the
Okay, now, I'm not gonna be up here for too much longer, as I'm joking. But if anybody has any questions here or on the Zoom, wherever they're at, give me a call right now and I'll try to answer it, or I'll turn it over.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming to speak with us tonight, Bill. At this time, if anyone has any questions, please make sure to put it in the Zoom chat, again, regardless of whether you're in person or not. So it looks like there is one question from Bryce Atchison, who's in the room right now. I'll repeat the question into the mic so people on Zoom can hear it, but Bryce, you can go.
Could you just repeat your phone number one more time?
My phone number is 785-341-1385.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Are there any other questions for Bill tonight? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in, Bill. Oh, there's a question from Max. Sorry, Max has got it. No, it's good.
I was just gonna ask, like the dining halls and the dorms, do they contribute
Yes.
their recycling?
Yes, they do.
A significant amount?
Yes, I do have fraternities, sororities bring their stuff up to the recycle center. Yes, I do. Or other student groups, yes. And the dining centers, yes, we all work together on this, yes.
Cool.
Any other questions at this time? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in, Bill. Can we get a round of applause?
And I do thank you for your time, because I know you're the ones that, while we're here, but you make a difference. And I thank you.
Awesome. So that was our second of 3 open period speakers. We actually have another one this evening as well. It is not Bree, it's Braden Burleson from Camp War Eagle asked to come speak with us tonight as well. So Braden, you have the floor at this time.
Okay, great. Thank y'all so much. I think first we have a video that we will show for y'all.
Yeah, I will get that screen shared and playing. Give me just a moment.
Perfect, thanks. While he's getting that ready, I'm just gonna tell y'all a little bit about who we are. So Camp War Eagle is a nonprofit organization in the Northwest Arkansas region. Kid or privileged backgrounds, and so that basically means we are just focusing on kids who might not have the opportunity to go to other summer camps that are more expensive, and a lot of our kids come for little as $20, and some even come for free, and we serve about 7,000 kids that come through our gates every single year. And they come and just want to be loved on. They just want to experience just a fun summer. And so right now we are actually looking for counselors to come and experience that summer, and it is a paid position. So if you're looking for a summer job, just something to do this summer, we are offering those opportunities. We are specifically right now looking for men to come, and we are offering a full summer job. And so you will have no bills while you're there and get to experience just kind of a fun summer to enjoy time with kids. And so we'll also be offering a time for orientation and PREO. And so when we have counselors apply, we actually require a 6 weeks minimum. And that is a 2-week session for you to come and learn how to run camp. And then the 4 weeks is where you come and work with kids. So now we'll just play this video and I'll tell you a little bit more.
Reasons I spend my summers here at Camp War Eagle
is because I love sports, I love being with kids, I love to have fun.
I enjoy working at Camp War Eagle because it is a place that you can just come and truly be yourself.
Because it's really a place where I feel like I'm being poured into.
The love that it really ties in adventure.
You are instantly surrounded by people with the same core values, people that care about you.
I get to witness the process of kids in a new situation and finding people that they trust.
A core opportunity to say, hey, I've came from the same places that you came from. In that, they are able to trust you, see how far you've come and how far you've made it. And if they can see that in you, then they can believe that that can happen for them as well.
My favorite activity to do with my campers is definitely the ropes course. There are so many kids that are so scared of heights, and seeing them get up there and conquer their fears and the smile on their face after they cross that bridge or do the zip line is just incredible.
My favorite thing to do with my campers is to take them to the nature center. I just think it's a place with tons and tons of different things that they can do that they've never really had the opportunity to do before.
Just to go to the skate park and honestly just shred the drop-in ramps. Conversations that you get to have with your campers is the best while you're at the skate park.
It's definitely team competition, and I just love seeing them have the heart and energy to just win for their team.
Camp War Eagle really instilled a confidence in me that I'd never had before.
It's an investment in your personal life. You're going to get an experience that you cannot get anywhere else in the entire world.
The community that it provides you with, not only while you're at camp, but as you go home throughout the school year and honestly the rest of your life.
You literally get paid to have fun with kids all summer long.
This could be the place for you, but you'll never know if you never give this a try.
Okay, great. And so you might be asking just what you would do on like a daily basis at camp. And what that actually looks like is we offer over 100 different activities for kids to actually participate in during the year. And what we do with our counselors is we kind of find where they're best suited to actually teach and coach. And so we offer things like the ropes course, for example, where you're teaching kids how to rock climb, conquer their fear of heights or anything like that, to the nature center where we have snakes, we have tarantulas, different things that they can actually hold, interact with, and just learn about nature. So there's something for everyone to come and teach about. And what's really, really great about that is we also offer internship credits. So if that is something that you're needing to graduate, we really try to work with each individual counselor to find what's best suited for them. So that is all I got, and I would love to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for our speaker at this time? Please just indicate so in the chat. Question from Senator Ashley Grills. You're in the room. So if you just want to say your question, I'll repeat it into the mic so it can be heard.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it's like a religiously affiliated camp?
So the question was like, is Camp War Eagle religiously affiliated?
Yes, we are a Christian-based sports adventure camp. And so we go through all of our tasks, and at the end of the day, every day, we do a little bit of Bible study with those kids.
Any further questions from anyone else? Senator Shunjay asked how are like people selected to participate in the chat?
For sure. Great question. So we actually have a kind of a process for kids to apply, and we only select kids from our 7 regions, our 7 counties around the Rogers, Arkansas area. And that is just because our founder of Alice Walton, who's the owner of Walmart, she has a heart for the Northwest Arkansas region. And so when she founded this camp, she had her hometown kind of in mind. And so we really select those kids, and they kind of meet a criteria. So around that area, we actually accept any kid that applies, but we base it off the parents' income of how much they actually pay. So that's why we really have that focus on a lower income family. They actually pay near nothing based on the pay scale.
Any further questions? How does camp look like in COVID times?
That's a very great question. And so last summer, we were actually one of the few camps to stay open and operate all summer long. A lot of camps closed down before summer even started. Well, we were allowed to open, and we actually made it through the whole summer with no cases that were actually contracted at camp. And so what that looks like right now, during a normal summer, you have weekends off where you kind of take your co-counselors and your friends and you go into town in Fayetteville and Rogers area. But what that looks like now is we're actually going to be staying on campgrounds. And you might think, oh, that's really boring. Well, the thing is, camp makes it really great opportunities for us. They bring in bands, do live concerts, they bring in food trucks for the weekends, and they really like engage us with a bunch of different activities. So it's not like you're just stuck on campus. And besides that, we do what we call a bubble effect. And so we have each camper and counselor are part of a particular bubble. So if there was any kind of outbreak, which we did not have last year, which was just a godsend, if we have any kind of outbreak, we can slowly start to isolate who came in contact with those certain campers. And so being as cautious as we can in these times.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Braden, thank you so much for joining our meeting tonight. We appreciated you coming.
Of course, thank y'all so much.
With that, I just want to check, are there any further first open period speakers tonight? Seeing none, we'll now continue on with our agenda. Next up on our agenda, actually, let me screen share it so everyone on the Zoom can see it as well. I forgot about that. We're only playing it in Wildcat Chambers. So next up on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed earlier this week. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? It was moved by Caucus Leader Atchison and seconded by Senator Croslow. Are there any objections to that? Seeing none, the minutes will stand approved. Next up on the agenda is our announcements for the week. So Hybrid Senate has returned, yay. We're gonna continue following the same safety practices at all of our meetings. So again, like masks on the entire time, socially distance, you can only sit in approved seating, et cetera. Limiting the number of attendees, just to ensure that we have space for everyone who wants to engage with each other safely throughout the year. Again, another reminder, we are currently like smack dab in the middle of SGA election season. I still have the filing link on there, but that deadline has passed actually. So at this point in time, no one else can file for elections. If you still ever have any questions, please direct those to Elections Commissioner Coleman. And then again, please remember that SGA Zoom rooms still count as official SGA meetings. And as such, no official campaigning is allowed in them. That includes like stickers, t-shirts, like any sort of like material that you would have supporting a campaign. Also would include like your profile photo on Zoom. So please just be cognizant of that and remember that you can't campaign at those official times. That also extends to Wildcat Chamber. So everyone who's here right now, like you are like not allowed to wear like a campaign t-shirt when we're having Senate in here at any point for Hybrid Senate. And if you have like stickers such as like on your laptop, which I know is really common, please just cover those up with like a sticky note to ensure that we have the ability to like, we're not seeing those and we're not campaigning to each other. So that would be very much appreciated. Additionally, two other announcements this week are that we have 2 funding forms currently live. So the one for the academic competition team funding form is currently live, as well as the sports club funding team application is live. Academic competition team one does close tomorrow. So please ensure that you like give that to anyone you know who's on like a competitive team that competes for the university. I'm certain they'd appreciate having that because this is the only opportunity for them to receive funding for the next fiscal year. So the entirety of the next school year. Same thing for sports clubs, but that one closes next Friday, March 5th. And again, the people for questions on there are listed on the agenda. For proxies tonight, please always remember if you're ever going to miss a student Senate meeting as a senator, just to fill out the proxy form that I send out on Monday nights, or you can just go into Org Central and fill it out. But for proxies, we have Atchison for Manners, Diaz de Leon for Brummett, Glasscock for Snyder Ben, and then one that I received today is Willis Reese for Ward. The SJ members of the week this week are chairs Sarah Pelton and Carissa Jonak. for the funding workshops that they hosted throughout this past week. Both of them have engaged directly with a number of students and just spent a lot of time like answering questions and any other inquiries that have come up. We really appreciate their time, appreciate their effort to go out of their way to meet one-on-one with students. So can we get some applause for our members of the week? And then our quote of the week this week is, "Helping others is the way we help ourselves." And that's from Oprah Winfrey. With that, moving on with the agenda, we will now move into commendations tonight. We do have one commendation, Resolution 56. Can I get a motion to consider that resolution? Please type so. Moved by Caucus Leader Phillips, seconded by Senator Kraslow. Will the author please come forward? I don't know who. This is DEI. Natalia, are you reading this? You can unmute yourself now. Or, oh, RJ is in person. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I did not realize that. Yeah, RJ, feel free to come up to the front of the room then, since you're here. And you just might want to make sure that mic is on.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yep. Yeah.
This is resolution 2021-56. I'm just reading this, correct? Cool. Commendation to Department of Diversity and Multicultural Student Affairs for Martin Luther King Jr. Observation Week. This is by the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee. Whereas the Department of Diversity and Multicultural Student Affairs, DMSA, is a department dedicated to providing leadership and building an inclusive campus climate that fosters mutual understanding among diverse groups. Whereas on January 19th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his last speech on a university campus visited Kansas State University to deliver an address to the student body on the topic of the future of integration, advocating for nonviolent approaches to remedy social tensions and advance the health of the country. Whereas the DMSA chose to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s history of service on the 53rd anniversary of his visit by holding an observation week from February 1 through 5, featuring events dedicated to continuing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. Whereas guest speaker Stacy Campbell, College of Agriculture alumni and founder of shareholder of Campbell Litigation, PC, facilitated a discussion surrounding the civil rights movement, current diversity issues, and the importance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. Whereas diversity can be an uncomfortable topic, but Risha's unconscious bias experience helped attendees understand the concept without feeling bored or judged. Whereas the Office of the President and Diversity and Multicultural Student Affairs, affinity groups, Alpha Pi, I don't know, Fraternity Incorporated, College of Arts and Sciences, Career Center, College of Agriculture, K-State Manners, College of Business Administration, Multicultural Business Student Association, K-State Alumni Association, and K-State Athletics sponsored countless events throughout the week, whereas the Staley School of Leadership Studies and Manhattan Public Library hosted the MLK Week of Service, whereas the DMSA and Alpha Phi Pi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated hosted the laying of the wreaths and candlelight ceremony on Friday, February 5th, and whereas the MLK Presidential Lecture took place on Thursday, February 4th, sponsored by the Office of the President and the DMSA, with keynote speaker Sandra Evers Manley, Global VP for Diversity, Northrop Grumman. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association commends the Department of Diversity and Multicultural Student Affairs for their efforts in perpetuating the legacy left by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the Associate Vice President for Student Life of Multicultural Student Affairs, Adrian Rodriguez, Director of Multicultural Programs and Services, Myrta Chavez, Director of Intercultural Learning and Academic Success, Dr. Deborah Bolton, Director of Diversity and Multicultural Student Life, Tremaine Lindsay, Jr., Director of the Student Access Center, Dr. Jason Maceberg Tomlinson, Program Director, Brandon L. Clark, Program Coordinator, Brandon Haddock, Assistant Director, Madai Rivera, Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Dr. Brian Samuel, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated President, Camden Mayfield, Vice President for Student Life, Dr. Thomas Lane, Global VP for Diversity, Northrop Grumman, Sandra Evers Manley, and University President, Richard B. Myers.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author at this time? Yes, it looks like Natalia Rodriguez, Chair Rodriguez, excuse me, has some corrections. Yeah, feel free to let us know now.
From Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, it should not be a comma between the last alpha and fraternity. So I think it's mentioned 3 times. So it should be Alpha Phi Alpha, no comma, fraternity, comma, incorporated.
Comma after fraternity, am I correct?
Yes, and then take the
Okay.
comma off after alpha, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. Are there any other questions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 56 unanimously? Moved by, ooh, they all came in all at once. Everyone was waiting. Moved by Senator Bain, seconded by Senator Croslow. It's been moved and seconded to approve this resolution unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this resolution will be approved. We can clap. We used to do that when we were in person for commendation. Also, shout out to intern Salman who carried that. We always appreciate having interns share legislation with us. So thanks for bringing that in front of the body. Next up on the agenda, we actually have an appointment tonight. For those who aren't aware, a couple of weeks ago, we approved some new interns to be sworn in. They were just not on the call at that time, and they're actually here in person to get sworn in. So intern coordinator Heatherman is going to administer the oath of office to them.
Right, if you guys will raise your right hand, and at the end you'll say, I will. So I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of SGA intern and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association. And then if you'll introduce yourself, you'll say your name, major, hometown, favorite song.
Hello, my name is Ariana O'Donohue. My major is secondary education along with English. My hometown is Olathe, Kansas. And my favorite smell is, I guess, our old books.
My name is Brian Blood. I'm an industrial engineering major from Roland Park, Kansas, and my favorite smell is eucalyptus mint aftershave.
My name is Ethan Brown. I'm a marketing major from Salina, Kansas, and my favorite smell is probably water.
Awesome. Glad that we could finally get you guys the opportunity to get officially sworn in. With that, we will continue on with our agenda. Next up for this evening, we have committee reports. Are there any committee chairs who would like to give a report right now? It looks like Chair Booz, you have the floor. Feel free to just come up to the front of the room.
All right, hello everyone. I just wanted to, okay. I just wanted to update everyone on apportionment because we did get the 20th day numbers from the spring semester in, and that's the numbers that we needed for apportionment. So, okay. Is it not on? Double check.
Are those on the Zoom able to hear the podium?
Are you able to hear me? Okay, that's a yes. So, all right. Yeah, so there's a fairly major change in the numbers between fall and spring. And therefore, after plugging it into the spreadsheet that I have, three out of the 4 methods that the United States government has used for allocating the House of Representatives would agree that arts and sciences would lose two seats, going from 15 to 13. Engineering would lose 1 seat, going from 11 to 10. AP Design, Veterinary Medicine, and Health and Human Sciences would all gain 1 seat. AP Design and Vet Med would go to 2 seats, and Health and Human Sciences would go to 7 from 6. So if you have any questions about like the methods, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And I intend to at some point in the next year, like kind of do more legislation on like how exactly we calculate this. But if you have any questions, let me know.
Are there any questions for Chair Booz at this time? It looks like the first question is from Caucus Leader Burke.
Are you guys able to hear me? I don't know how this works.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Do you have an estimate, and maybe I missed it if you said it, Andrew, of when we might be getting that seat for College of Vet Med?
Well, so that's in the current election that is going on. Like people in the College of Vet Med will be able to vote for two people, and you will get 2 seats.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It looks like the next question is from Senator Glasscock.
Yeah, can you quickly describe or summarize those apportionment methods you use? I'm kind of curious.
Okay, I can do that. So the one that disagrees with these is the Jeffersonian method, which is basically just most of these methods work by creating a divisor. So like the 16,000 students that we have at K-State, in the Jeffersonian method, you divide it by 249, and then you round it down, which results in a fairly weird distribution compared to the rest of the methods. The Webster's method is the next one, which is you divide the 16,000 students we have by 270, and then you just round it. And that divisor depends on the number of students we had in the first place. If we had way more students, that would be a different number to fit it into 60. The largest remainder method is the method that SGA has used in the past and is also kind of the easiest to explain like entirely how it works. Basically, you just give out seats according to their percentages until you reach, until you reach 55. And then if you're just going by the straight number, like the straight percentage, like according to straight percentage, education should have 3.14 seats. So basically you calculate that remainder for every college, and then you give the 5 highest remainders 1 more seat. I think that's probably the easiest to explain, and it's the way we've done it in the past. So I lean towards using that one. The final one is called the Huntington Hill method. It's the current method used to apportion the House of Representatives. And so it's used because it has the property of, if you expand the size of the House of Representatives, no group will decrease in size, like no state will have a decrease in the number of representatives. And so that's very helpful when you're like maybe increasing House of Representatives all the time, isn't as helpful anymore. And so that method kind of works by basically doing the divisor method, but then you also have to both round up and round down and then take the geometric mean of that. And then like that determines whether or not you get a seat added to the rounded down number. So it's harder to explain.
That's cool, thanks.
Awesome. Any other questions for our speaker? Question from Caucus Leader Kidd.
Thanks so much, Speaker Bothwell. So my question is related to the dilemma when like certain colleges keep having issues with like getting people to become senators for their college, if that makes sense. And Senator Booz, I know that you and I have talked about this offline like a time or two, but have there been any thoughts to like revising the way that we calculate numbers based on like past, like based on historic observations of the difficulty of fulfilling the certain number of seats per college? Does that make sense?
Well, that generally makes sense. Like as of this time, we're not we haven't proposed any legislation or anything that would change like graduate school or health and human sciences, like apportionment methods. Like we definitely, like on my spreadsheet, there is one thing for like maybe reapportioning graduate student senators to other colleges that like the undergraduates and like that are determined by the number of graduate students in each college. So like we could look into that if graduate student senate or if graduate students are having a hard time. That wouldn't really be a way that we could reallocate like an undergraduate college like health and human sciences. So, I mean, overall, though, I do think, like, in particular, graduate students have done a fairly good job this year filling their seats. And so, like, I don't think we necessarily need that change. If we have different results in the future, we can definitely look back into that.
If I can add some extra context to that as well, this year, two of the colleges that are typically hard to fill are the one-person colleges, so APD and Vet Med, and both of those colleges had more than even two people like want to run in them. So that's actually not really going to be an issue this year, hopefully, fingers crossed. Are there any other questions for Chair Booz at this time? Seeing none, thank you so much for speaking tonight, Andrew. Next up, I saw earlier in the chat, I believe, I'm just trying to find out who was first. I have gotten a lot of private messages. Hold on. Chair Brown, Madison Brown with the Privilege Fee Committee. Madison, you have the floor. And would you like me to screen share that spreadsheet you sent me?
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Madison. I'm the chair of the Privilege Fee Committee. So I wanted to come up here today and give a short little presentation discussing the sustainability of the privilege fee, looking a little bit back at previous years, what has been happening in terms of enrollment, as well as to give a little bit of perspective into some decisions that the committee may have made for future years. So I know a lot of our discussion this year has been surrounding COVID, decreasing enrollment because of COVID, changes in modality because of COVID, and et cetera. But I want to take a little bit of step back from that and look at, even before COVID is happening, the trends that are in privilege fee and the K-State's privilege fee budget. So up here, you'll see a document. Also, this is on Org Central. If it's easier for you to have on your laptop, it is going to be documents, committee documents, privilege fee committee. And then I didn't put it in a folder because there's a lot of them, but it should be called privilege fee multi-year comparison. So kind of a lot for that. But so I wanted to look at some trends that we have here. So on the left, you'll see the fiscal year, which starts in July. The privilege fee budget total, which has been increasing over the past few years, the percent change in the privilege fee budget. So as you can see, there was a little bit of a decrease in 2019. It hopped back up in 2020. But over the past 7 or 8 or so years, we have been increasing our budget. Okay, so now what's the problem with that? Whenever we go over to the column right next to it, it also shows that we have had a decrease in the number of students who the privilege fee is being assessed for. So currently, the privilege fee is assessed. You will be paying the full fee of $472. If you are in 6 or more in-person credit hours, you'll be paying a partial fee if you're in less than 6 in-person credit hours. And then if you are in no in-person credit hours, for example, some of you probably this semester with completely online course loads, you will be paying $0 of the privilege fee. So basically the trend we have, our expenses are going up and our revenue is going down. So as you can also tell, there has been an increase in the fee the past few years, which has been necessary because we have been increasing our spending. So there's 3 main ways that the privilege fee can balance their budget. We can either increase the number of students that we have at K-State, which is something that's being worked on right now, and hopefully we'll see improvements in the next few years. We can either increase the fee, and means that each student is going to pay a little bit more, or we can decrease our budget. So ideally, there is going to be a combination of all 3 of these different options. We've looked at increasing the fee, as you can see in that 6.42% increase we had a few years ago. We've looked at increasing the number of students, and administration is working hard on their strategic enrollment plan. But now we've kind of come to the aspect where it's probably a good idea to start looking at decreasing the overall privilege fee budget. So on the far right-hand side, you're going to see the privilege fee shortfall. So as you can see, the past 3 years, we've had on average around a $300,000 shortfall, and fiscal year 18 and 20, those were 2 years that were completely before COVID. So 18 and 19, and then 20 was a little bit affected by COVID, but only for part of it, which is summer enrollment. So even before COVID was a thing and our budget got messed up even more,
we were looking at having a lot more expenses than our revenue. So ideally, within the next few years, we're either going to increase students a lot, increase the fee a lot, or decrease our budget. So I'm now here to answer any questions. I just wanted to give a little bit of perspective as to some of the decreases that may be coming forward soon.
Are there any? Oop, forgot to turn my mic on. Are there any questions for Chair Brown at this time? Hold on, I'm going to stop screen sharing. It's hard to have so many different things open. So if you have questions or would like me to pull it back up, let me know. But there's a question from Senator Harmon, who's in the room right now. Feel free to go, Max.
Yeah. Chair Brown, could you just explain how the fee floats? The committee doesn't decide what the fee is. It's a function of things, right?
Yeah, so the question was explaining how the fee is a floating fee, so.
Okay, so the committee, their main function is going to be deciding what the budget is. So that 16.xx number that you see, that is the committee's decision to decide. So where you come into the aspect of the floating fee is you're gonna take, simple terms, you're gonna take the total budget that we have and you're gonna divide that by the number of students that we have. So that's what it means in terms of it's a floating fee. It changes based off of the number of students that we have. To add in a little bit more complexity, the fiscal year starts July 1, and that is the fiscal year, and we will be where our revenue, okay, so July 1 it starts, and then revenue is going to be from that second half of the summer semester, and then the following fall and spring semester. So basically what that means is we are going to be using projections of enrollment whenever the budget office is deciding what the fee is gonna be. So that's whenever we get into some tricky territory of if our projections are going to be off for what's fall and spring enrollment look like, that's whenever you get a large shortfall, et cetera, and things like that.
Are there any further questions for Chair Brown? A question from intern Blood, who's in the room right now.
Yeah, how long before our debt service for the union and rec are phased out, and how will that function into the privilege fee?
If you give me 1 second, I will pull up a spreadsheet so I can show exact numbers.
The question was about the number of years until the debt for the union and rec goes out. For anyone who's not aware, part of the privilege fee goes to paying off bonds that we have on both the rec complex, which was renovated in 2010, and then the union renovations in 2015. The student body at the time, during election season, voted to approve those and increase in that fee. So at the same day that you were voting for student body president and all the senators, there also was a ballot measure on there that students approved. That's the only way to do renovations through the privilege fee. So some context there.
Are you okay if I share my screen really quick?
Yeah, I think it should still be enabled.
Okie dokie. So if you look down here on these bottom two lines, this is going to be our debt service. So we have the K-State Union renovation bond, which was done in 2016. That matured in fiscal year 36. To give some context, we're currently in fiscal year 21. And then the rec complex expansion bond is going to mature in fiscal year 40. So for the past few fiscal years, we have been paying around $1.8 million each for both of those two bonds. So that's $3.6 million of fixed costs that we have every single year. To be honest, since they are so far out, I have not had any discussions with administration at what that's going to look like whenever those bonds retire. There's a possibility that other areas on campus would want to do a bond. Ideally, though, once those bonds come to maturity, we would be able to decrease that expense, and that would be $3.6 million that would not be factored into our budget.
Are there any further questions for Chair Brown at this time? Another question from Senator Harmon.
Sorry. Back on the first spreadsheet that we were sharing, there was a massive increase in 2013, 1.3 mil. Do we know what that was from?
I'm trying to get it pulled up. Hold on. There was a question about 2013 and an increase in the privilege fee at that time, if we know what that was from.
To be honest, I do not, but I could ask around and see. I'm not sure if anyone has been here who would know the answer to that.
I do not know that. It's
It's like
20.
year over year, there's $2 million increase between.
Yeah, pre the union expansion, that gets to people who are in SGA before, like, people who are leadership in SGA when I was a freshman were doing it. So that gets too far out for me.
I will look into it and see if I can find the answer, though. That's a good question.
Any further questions? Time for questions has expired, but I don't see any more in the chat. So unless someone has a question, we'll go on. Okay, seeing none, thank you so much, Chair Brown. Next up, I believe Chair Colburn, a while ago, you asked to give a report, so the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to come and speak a little bit more for right now, I guess, on Resolution 48. That resolution was introduced all the way back in November in our last student Senate meeting before the semester ended. And that resolution is what I kind of commonly refer to it as the divestment resolution. It was the primary author on that resolution was Nick Saya, who's an intern and the vice chair of the GR committee. And in that resolution, we were basically, in short, calling for the K-State Foundation to remove investments and holdings from fossil fuel corporations. So that went to GR and had a lot of really good discussion in our committee among our committee members and also a lot of guests. We had a lot of student senators and different executive branch members join us, so I'm really grateful to them. We also had foundation, the chief investment officer of the foundation, Lois Cox, as well as the CEO/president of the foundation, Greg Willems. So I just really want to thank everyone who participated in that discussion. At our last meeting, the Governmental Relations Committee felt most comfortable holding that piece of legislation in committee indefinitely. That basically means that you probably will not see Resolution 48 again. However, we are continuing to make progress kind of on this topic as it relates to holding the foundation and the university more generally accountable to climate issues and sustainability issues, and just asking for more transparency and accountability from those organizations. So we're still working on that. That's still a topic, but you probably won't see a piece of legislation for another few weeks or so, just because we really want to make sure that we get it right, that we ask our foundation really important questions and also have accountability measures in place. So that's kind of what's going on that front. There's a lot of really exciting things besides that coming out of the Governmental Relations Committee. We've got some planning for around topics of mental health this March coming up. As you all know, no spring break. That means students are stressed out after midterms and don't have any real substantial break from school. So we're hoping to create some programming with some different partners across the university, both for this body internally and also for the student body and the campus at large. So we've got a really exciting stuff coming up. If you ever want to attend a GR meeting, I think they're pretty fun, and we got to get to discuss a lot of cool things that don't have to do with privilege fee numbers. So if you ever want a little break from that for fee members, we happen right after your committee. So, but anyway, all thanks to you all. But that's all that I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions. If anyone is interested in being part of our sustainability conversations, I'm happy to kind of add you and do anything like that. But yeah, I'll stand for questions.
Yeah, before there's questions, I just want to clarify for all who know, I like to clarify all our parliamentary procedure stuff. So one thing Chair Colburn mentioned was the motion to hold something indefinitely. And basically that motion means that we put something on the table and never pick it back up again. It's basically the way we kill a bill or resolution. So I just like to bring up Parley Pro stuff to make sure everyone's on the same page for what we say when we're talking about it. So with that, for questions, Caucus Leader Phillips has the first question. Lily, just like nod your head if you can hear him. The mics in here are weird, so I'll repeat the question if you can't hear him.
Yeah, I guess, well, I have one, they're both clarifying questions. One's for Nate, since he just said something, one's for Lily. Lily, the GR meetings are hybrid, right?
I could hear you, yes. They are usually hybrid. We will be meeting online fully next week, actually, just because of, we will just be meeting online fully. But we will, for the rest of the semester, plan to meet hybrid.
Awesome, thank you. And then Speaker Bothwell, I'm just curious, can you pick up a tabled indefinitely resolution or bill off of the table at a motion?
That I don't know. Okay. I'm getting no's from other people in the room. So no, it's basically moving to kill a bill. So.
I didn't know if it was possible or not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't see that very often, so just want to bring it up. Any further questions for Chair Colburn? Seeing none, thank you so much, Lily. Are there any other committee chairs who have a report this evening? I believe I got all caught up in the chat. Seeing none, we'll now move on to directors' reports. Are there any directors? Elections Commissioner Coleman already has one, so I'll turn the floor over to him.
I was preparing for it. I was getting ready to deliver this as soon as possible. I have a couple things to deliver. First of all, of course, we had the primary. Oh, whoops. We had we had the primary elections over this past week, and I am very happy with the results and the 1,955 individual votes that were given for that. Those are numbers that are very similar to things we've experienced in the past, votes in the past for the primary elections. I don't have the numbers exactly for last year. There's been some sort of glitch on the SGA elections page, so we can't view those, but I can tell you about ones from prior years before 2020 for what primary elections looked like. Moving forward with the electoral process, most campaigning for the general elections has begun, and people are able to campaign in almost every single way, excluding for general election candidates from tabling. That will start on Monday if anyone wants to. And then on Tuesday will be the deadline for vice presidential candidates to submit their form on Org Central to be registered. And then March 5th, of course, is the report deadline to send in your general elections report. We've had a excellent showing for people signing up to go to our general mandatory meetings, and almost everyone has attended thus far, which is great. I see that. Caucus Leader Phillips, thank you. Moving forward with that, of course, the general election will come a Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 weeks from now, less than 2 weeks from now. And, just excited for those and to be successful and completed with this process. Results we'll have. You're going to be seeing a lot more promotion for the elections for this general election, and seeing a lot more when it comes to that. And I do also come with an update in tandem with Chair Booth regarding the seats that are going to be available for this coming election. We'll be seeing on the ballot. I'm going to be delivering to you guys the numbers of people running as of right now in the various different seats. For AP Design, there are 4 people running. As Speaker Bothwell had spoken earlier, there are 15 people running for the College of Engineering. Arts and Sciences, there are 26 people running. Business, there are 16. Vet Med, there are 4. Education, 5. Agriculture, 11. Health and Human Sciences is 5, so that is less than the seats that are required. And with Graduate, there are 4, also less than the seats that are needed. With that in mind, I'm going to be continuing with the general elections meetings for a short while longer in order to get every single person that we can registered and fully ready to campaign, and we'll be moving from there. I can send those, I will be sending out those numbers in the chat after I'm done with this report. But now I'm just opening up for questions.
Okay, so never mind. I'm going to assume Tax Leader Phillips had the same question. Are there any other questions for Elections Commissioner Coleman?
Okay, if not, I'm always available almost 24/7 for any sort of questions that someone might have with my email, my phone number, whatever.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Trey. Thank you. With that, next up, I believe is Vice President Lane Lundeen.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good week. I just have a little bit of a report about what's going on in the exec branch right now. So U at K-State or U at KSU is hopefully coming and will be up and running by March. We've just gotten the food security scholarships. They are food security scholars just selected their first class this month. We're so close to getting funding for Safe Bar, which has been 4 years in the making. Very excited about that. We have State Higher Ed Day. It's like a few days right now. And the executive branch has been meeting with legislators to communicate the university's budgetary and legislative priorities from a student perspective. And on Monday, President Whitmer testified in front of the State House of Representatives committee to in support of no taxation on sales tax for textbooks and just like institutions in higher ed. And then we also have a focus group for the Student Access Center and Student Success Center, sorry. And if you're wanting to be in the focus group, DM me and I can send you on to RJ Youngblood. She's the one coordinating all this. This would kind of be in tandem with the Student Success Center Navigate program. And we also had the Big 12 on the Hill on Monday and Tuesday, and we were able to advocate for 3 different bills, at least my group did. We advocated for the TREAT Act, which would help improve relationships with other states and telehealth. So if you're not aware what telehealth is, it's the ability to speak with counselors across borders. And currently right now, states do not recognize other states' licenses and would help with the ability to keep your therapist if you had to go home for whatever reason. We also advocated for the End Stigma Act, which would help provide grants and funding for substance abuse and substance addiction education at colleges. And then the last one was just a general college affordability advocation. But yes, that's what the executive branch has been up to right now, and I stand for questions.
Are there any questions for Vice President Lundeen about his report? Seeing none, thank you so much for presenting today, Lane.
Have a great rest of your day.
Are there any other directors who would like to give a report at this time? Seeing none, we will then continue on with the rest of our agenda. Give me just a second to get that pulled up and screen shared so everyone can see it. With that, we will actually be moving into college caucus time tonight. It has been so long since we've had caucus time. And so we're finally going to have it this evening. So we'll be splitting up into our various different colleges because in the coming weeks, we'll be forming the academic competition team funding committee. Like I said, that application closes tomorrow. But the treasurer for student government, Alan Hines, needs representatives on that committee. Right now, we are required to have one representative from each college on the committee. Each of the academic colleges, so graduate school is not included in that. It's just I forget how many, but it works out to 6 or 7 primary colleges, 7 without vet med and grad school. So 7 colleges, we need 7 representatives from, but we also need at-large members. And there's actually graduate student groups that do apply for funding. So graduate school, I still want you to pick a representative as a group, even though you're not required to pick one, because I think it's important that you have that representation on that group. So really, this is just going to be a pretty informal decision. This will be led by your caucus leader right now. So we'll be splitting everyone into breakout rooms at this time. And really, as a breakout room, your job is to decide amongst the student senators in your college who is like able to serve on this committee. This committee it's like a 1 or 2 day commitment. It's not a very large commitment. So that's one thing that this is not a huge obligation that whoever the senators is taking upon themselves. And Treasurer Hines will work with whoever it is, with the members that he ends up getting to decide the date and time that they end up having their committee meeting where they discuss and evaluate the budget reports. So caucus leaders, all I ask is that you lead just kind of a discussion. If multiple people want to do it and you need to have a formal vote, please lead through a vote. If it's pretty chill and someone wants to do it, then just have that one person do it. Caucus leaders, if you can please just email both Maggie and myself once you've selected your member, so that way we have your membership, that would be really great. Oh, great question from Senator Dillevue. Are there conflict of interest issues for students who are officers of a competition team? Senator Dillevue, actually, that would not be an issue for serving on this committee. In that committee, you could merely abstain when voting on any specific team that you're a part of, but you do have the ability to approve funding. If you're right, I know you're from the College of Engineering, so I don't see there being an issue with you voting on something from the College of Ag. That's not a conflict in my mind. You would just need to abstain from any vote pertaining to your own competition team. Thank you for your great question. That was a really good one to ask. But yeah, so this is, again, pretty informal process. We'll break for about 10 to 15 minutes into our rooms. Yeah, so we'll break for about 10 to 15 minutes to serve in these breakout rooms. Also, I'd invite anyone who's on this call to go into that breakout room. So interns, you would also be invited to go to your breakout room. Since it's 8:27, I'd like to meet back at 8:40 at this point in time. And so if you finish up early, get to know each other. We've had some new senators and it's been a while since we've had caucus time. For people in Wildcat Chamber, I know it might be a little bit difficult since you're close together and you need to hear. So feel free to spread out a bit, but we'll be muting the main room so that way you can talk on your breakout rooms. I have another question in Wildcat Chamber.
Should we just meet physically and then have one laptop for that group?
If that's what those of you in this room would like to do, I am comfortable with that. Still try to keep semi-distance from each other so you're not on top of each other. But if you want to set one laptop on a table and then be behind that, that's fine with me. And then Caucus Leader Phillips.
Do you also want us to go to different areas of the union like normal, so there aren't just a ton of voices in here all at once?
If you want to do that, I am fine with that as well. As long as you're back in this room, but if you, yeah, you got a message ready. Yeah, if you're in this room and you want to go somewhere else in the union with other members of your caucus, that's fine. Let's just plan on being back at 8:40 at this time. If anyone needs any help, if you're a caucus leader, DM me, text me if you need help with anything. But if not, have a great short little session with your group as you select your members.
policy, what we can confirm. We did. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. That was me.
Three of them have.
I was just sitting here like this the way first in the room.
I knew somebody would.
Okay. Hey, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. I am still missing the selection from a couple colleges. What? Are we? No. Can someone on Zoom hear me, just to clarify?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you to whoever said that. Sorry, I can't see. I have so many tabs open. Awesome. So we will go ahead and move on. If you are a caucus leader and you haven't emailed Maggie and I yet, please do so at this time, just so we know who your selection is. We'll follow up with any colleges that we need to at a later time. Again, we'll probably still need a couple at-large representatives later. So thank you everyone for doing that. And I also hope that you enjoyed the opportunity to just catch up with your caucus a bit, because we really haven't had the time and ability to do that a lot this year. So I hope you enjoyed getting the chance to catch up with everyone. With that, we will finally, about 2 hours in, move into the legislative portion of our evening tonight. So with that, we will begin final action, and we will start with final action on Bill 31, which was referred favorably to us back from the Senate Operations Committee by a vote of 4 to 0. So with that, the author of this legislation can please come forward, and they have the first right to debate it.
Folks, this is from Senate Ops. It's an attempt to clear up some of our documents, really. And what we did is we looked at some of the statutes, and we saw that there was an overlapping set of statutes regarding athletic ticketing. And that one in particular, Chapter 63, was superseded by Chapter 66. This purely administrative bill simply removes the older chapter and will just leave the one that is Chapter 66 in there that we actually follow. That's the actual process for SGA dealing with K-State athletics. So Chapter 63 no longer applies. We don't know why when 66 was approved, 63 remained. When 63 was promulgated, it had a clause in there that said it superseded all previous versions. 66 didn't have that. So all we're doing is cleaning it up. I urge you to go ahead and vote yes on this bit of administrative processing. And with that, if there are any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions for Senator Kraslow? Seeing none, I will now seek any debate in the negative on this bill. So is there any debate in the negative on Bill 31? Is there any additional debate in the positive on Bill 31? Is there any additional debate at all on Bill 31? Seeing none, we will now proceed into a roll call vote on Bill 31. So I will turn it over to Speaker Pro Tempore Billman to lead that. Feel free to either unmute. If you're in Wildcat Chamber, just say your vote out loud, or type it in the chat if you're in either format. So whatever you want to do. So with that, Maggie, it's yours.
Thanks. Just a reminder, since we do have a couple new senators, your choices are yes, no, pass, which means we'll come back to you, and then abstain, which means that you don't wish to vote at all. Atchison.
Yes.
Bain.
Yes.
Booz.
Yes.
Brown. Bruce. Brummett.
Yes, by proxy.
Bruna. Burke.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Carr. Clements.
Yes.
Colburn.
Yes.
Croslow.
Yes.
Diaz de Leon.
Yes.
Delavu.
Yes.
Doc.
Yes.
Dunlap,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Glasscock,
Yes.
Grills, Gromas,
Yes.
Hamlin, Harmon,
Yes.
Hurd,
Yes.
Heimerman,
Yes.
Hernandez, Hutchings,
Yes.
Jambunathan,
Yes.
James Rose,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Levi, Loya, Manners,
Yes, by proxy.
McKee,
Yes.
McVeigh, Muthukumar,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Nunning,
Yes.
Panikatu. Thank you. Phillips,
Yes.
Porter, Purdy,
Yes.
Richenberg,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Rossi,
Yes.
Shear,
Yes.
Shunjay, Snyder Ben,
Yes, by proxy.
Snyder Blaine, sorry, I mistyped here. Bonts, Volgamore, Wallace, Ward, Wells, Willis, Jackson,
Yes.
Willis Reese, and Windholtz. Okay, let me get a couple that came in the chat. All right, with that, Bill 32 passes 40 to 0. Also, I'd like to thank everyone. I thought that everyone was really prompt in their responses, so I appreciate your all's attention.
Awesome. With that, we will move forward on our agenda. I would like to make an announcement that I should have made earlier during committee reports. This is my bad. If you would have noticed on the first draft of the agenda, there were 2 additional pieces of legislation to vote on. That was because the Senate Executive Committee had not yet met for this week. And that committee voted to hold both of those in committee for an additional week to work on. So we only ended up having 1 thing when there were supposed to be 3 things. So just because the committee decided to work on those longer. So just wanted to let everyone know that. For introduction of legislation, next up we have Bill 32. Can I get a motion to consider Bill 32? Moved by Carlson and seconded by Glasscock. With that, will the author of Bill 32 please come forward?
All right, hello, everyone. This is Bill 2021-32, amendments to the KSU-SGA statutes regarding special committee terminology and committee sponsorship of legislation by Andrew Bruce. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association governing documents should be clear, easy to understand, and reflect our current practices. Whereas other committees authorized by Student Senate, such as the Joint Committee on Officers' Compensation, have sponsored legislation in the past. Whereas based on the current wording of the KSU-SGA statutes, JCOC and other legislative student Senate committees are not able to individually sponsor such legislation. Whereas a special committee is a committee authorized for a specific amount of time to develop a report or legislation on a specific issue. Whereas various governing documents use several different terms to describe committees that are similar to these special committees, including special committee, legislatively chartered ad hoc committee, and ad hoc committee. Whereas while there is a place for most of these terms, it is possible to simplify this terminology. And whereas simplifying this terminology would make it easier for the governing documents to be understood by people both inside and outside of KSU-SGA. Be it enacted that Section 1, Chapter 2, Section 0207 of the statutes is hereby amended to read as follows. So the change here is in D, adding after standing committee, adding another legislative student senate committee as described in the bylaws, and then deleting ad hoc on that same line and adding special on the next line. Then on line 63 and 64, adding one or more, striking committees and just making that completely plural, and then adding or special committees instead of or an ad hoc committee. And then this legislation shall take effect upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president.
Are there any questions for the author of this legislation? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming up to share that with us tonight. Oh wait, there was a question. Sorry, were you waving your hand? I'm checking the chat.
I just can't type.
Okay, there's a question from Chair Brown. Sorry.
This doesn't change anything substantive in terms of how special committees operate, correct?
No, this is basically just aligning like the wording to how we currently are using it.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none. I'm just trying to be cautious now. Seeing none, thank you for presenting that legislation, Chair Booz. Next up, we have Bill 33. Can I get a motion for us to consider Bill 33? Moved by Senator Glasscock and then seconded by Senator Croslow. Authors coming forward. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Also in the chat, I missed it. Thank you, Senator Harmon, for getting my attention. Is from Caucus Leader Phillips, moved that the author shall be allowed to summarize. That was seconded by Senator Harmon. Are there any objections to allowing the author of this piece of legislation to be able to summarize? I would assume not. Seeing none, we will now move forward. Madison, you have the ability to summarize.
Okay, hi everyone. So this is going to be the privilege fee bill on fine arts. So fine arts contract is consisted of multiple different organizations. It's a little bit long, so please bear with me. So to start off, the Privilege Fee Committee took into account the services aimed at benefiting the entire student body, as well as ones that were specifically focused on minors or specific majors. Architecture, Planning, and Design is an organization that brings in architecture speakers, people focused on design, etc. They originally received $19,000 in fiscal year 21. This piece of legislation moves their allocation to 0 for the next 3 years. This would be effectively, quote unquote, taking them off of the privilege fee. It means that in the next fine arts privilege fee cycle, they would not be reviewed with the fine arts contract. So the art department brings in visiting artists, hosts, exhibitionists, and brings in demonstrations and lectures. So essentially they do things that are open to the public, as well as they have specific artists that come in and work with classrooms and do quote unquote workshops for people who are in art classes. The art department has a great benefit, but also is used in classrooms to bring artists through honorariums. And so the funding was decreased by 40% for fiscal year 22, 40% for fiscal year 23, and 50% for fiscal year 24. The McCain Auditorium, which hopefully most people are familiar with, they put on performances. So they actually requested a decrease. The first year their decrease was requested to be 69%, then a 38% decrease was requested for the next 2 fiscal years. Their reasoning, and a decrease was given of this amount. The reasoning for the decrease is they have decreased the amount of in-person performances that they have drastically because of COVID. They are not expecting for that to jump back up to normal for fiscal year 22. And so this decrease is going to effectively match that decrease in reduction of performances. I also would like to note in the be enacted section for that, there is a clause that we included that essentially states that all of the funding for McCain Auditorium needs to go towards subsidizing student tickets for performances. And it does say in the clause that once that money runs out, it is possible for students to have to pay. So instead of doing like a discount ticket like previous years, they would be doing a ticket fully funded, so a completely free ticket. But once that money runs out, you would have to pay for a ticket, which is a substantial change, I would say, from previous years. Okay, so bear with me on this. In previous years, the music, theater, and dance department had 4 line items. Those line items were music, band and orchestra, music, choral and opera, theater/dance, and then ebony theater. So 4 different line items. You will not see all 4 of those line items on the privilege fee though, on this legislation, because we basically just did some restructuring. So whenever music, theater, and dance presented to us as a privilege fee committee, they presented 3 different areas: music as one, theater as one, and dance as one. And so we felt like the current line items did not properly represent the operations of music, theater, and dance. And so we changed that. There's a really good spreadsheet. I can't remember if I uploaded it, but I will upload it to Org Central. That essentially shows the breakdown of the old entity structure and the breakdown of the new entity structure. So what we did was we combined both of the music line items. We split up theater and dance to be theater individually, dance individually. And then we added ebony theater into the general theater line item. Okay, so, but whenever considering allocations, we did use the original structure. So essentially, we decided both of the music allocations, and then we added them up at the end. I can show a spreadsheet clarifying that more if there are any questions later on. So going into music, theater, and dance, dance funding was decreased by 35%, starting with 18,000. Ebony theater was decreased by 20%. Theater was decreased by 35%, creating a overall decrease of 33.6%. And then music was decreased by 35%. International Student and Scholar Services is an organization that puts on International Coffee Hour. So they have different students come in, talk about the country that they're from. They typically will be preparing a food. It's a great opportunity for intercultural learning. So they were left at a continuance of $1,900 for the next 3 fiscal years. The English department brings in nationally and internationally known authors to campus to give public readings of their work, conduct book signings, and meet one-on-one with K-State students to look over their work. They host one-on-one workshops. Primarily it benefits the English department students, and so their funding was recommended to be decreased by 25% for fiscal year 22 and 42% for fiscal year 23 and 24. The reasoning for that jump from 25 to 42 is we felt like an initial 42 decrease could be a little bit much of a jump, and so trying to ease them into that. Fine arts student organizations, this is like student organizations specifically concerning fine arts, are used to essentially do travel and on-campus allocations only for fine art students. These are areas that are already properly funded through SGA's travel and on-campus allocations committee. And so because they already have great other avenues of funding, their budget was recommended to go from $5,000 to $0. So completely decreased for the next 3 fiscal years. That's similar as to APD. So they will be quote unquote taken off of the fine arts contract. They will not come up again in review unless they specifically request to. Okay, so now going into the be enacted section, that there are a few areas that I would like to point out. So one, which is going to be clause 9, or first we'll start with section 8. Because we did add Ebony Theater into the larger theater line item, we wanted to make sure that Ebony was still receiving proper funding. So this area says, of the funds allocated for fiscal years 22 through 24, at least 5,500 of the funds must be spent on Ebony Theater. This means that they don't get lost within the total theater line item. Looking at section 9, this is the clause that I mentioned previously regarding the ticket agreements for K-State, for McCain Auditorium. And I believe that is it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good timing there. With that, we'll move into questions. I do want to clarify that I would highly recommend anyone who has any questions or doesn't like understand what we're doing, like to ask those now while we have like the time to do that before we move into debate on this within the coming weeks. I only say that because this is probably one of the most complex individual privilege fee contracts that we have because it goes to so many different entities. Like if you all remember October when we were debating the Collegian, it was just like yes or no, should the Collegian have like more funding? But here we're talking about like if a dozen different organizations should have more or less funding. So it's a little bit more complex. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that if you were confused on anything in the bill as you read it or anything that was shared with us right now, to please ask because this is a great time to learn more. And I'm certain that everyone else would appreciate your questions. So with that in mind, are there any questions that anyone in the body has? Question from Chair Colburn.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I think on the McCain section, sorry, I can't remember and I don't have it up in front of me. It talks about how this money is used or like they put on performances for like kindergarten through some age. Does Priv fee money go to those younger performances? I assume not, but I just kind of wanted to clarify.
So I can reword this, but what I think we were trying to say was that they do not put on performances like with actual children, but instead, if you are there's a quote unquote student ticket. So if you're a student of any college of any grade, you are able to access that student ticket. And I would refer my speaking rights to Max Harmon.
It's also, that's the line, that's for Department of Theater, not McCain. Like the theater performances are open to anybody that is a student, K through college, anywhere. McCain is only K-State students.
Thank you for that, Max.
A follow-up?
Yes.
Granted.
Sorry.
Okay, so sorry. So Priv fee dollars go to like subsidizing / paying for those student tickets?
Correct, which is one of the reasons that a decrease was proposed.
Okay, does the contract like outline, sorry, this
You're
could
good.
just be answered by me reading better, but like, does the contract outline that distinction? Or I guess that's part of the whereas clauses, right? Okay.
Wait, is this for theater?
Yeah, for theater, for
So
what Max
in-
was talking about.
Okay, so, okay, yeah, sorry, I'm looking at your whereas clause right now. So this is like for reference, probably like 82 through 85. Wait, can you repeat it? Sorry. Privilege fee money goes towards like, if I'm a 7th grader and I want to come see a theater and dance performance, I will get a quote unquote ticket subsidy that was funded by K-State privilege fee.
Got it, thanks.
So the reach goes farther. The reach goes into the community. It does not just go into K-State students. McCain is completely K-State students.
Okay, that was clarified. Are there intern coordinator Heatherman looks like has a question.
Do you, I'm trying not to have this debate, like, do you know that it is actively being used for those K through 12 students? Or is it just not distinguished?
So they do not have any numbers. Actually, if you give me one moment, I will pull up their presentation just to double check. And this is for theater, correct? Okay, so the information that I have regarding SGA Theater, their theater allocation was $72,300. They had 4 guest artists. They have 4 guest artists. Wait, can I share my screen? Oh, it says I can't share. Okay. You guys are just getting to hear me talk a lot tonight. Okay, so this is the information that we received. So of the 4,800 tickets that were sold, 2,044 of them were K-State students. Of the other 2,000, they do not have information on whether those were community members who were paying full price ticket or whether that was K through 12. Also, I believe that not every single theater performance costs money. I can also double check that.
Are there any further questions regarding the fine arts privilege fee? Time for questions has expired. Thank you, Michael. Can I get a motion? Because 3 more just came in. Move to extend by 5 minutes by Caucus Leader Atchison. There's a second from Caucus Leader Phillips. Are there any objections to that? Seeing none, the next person with a question is Chair Booz. You have the floor next.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned that that was part of why the decrease was proposed. Is that correct? And if so, is the amount of the decrease about the amount that we would need to, ensure that this is only going towards K-State students, or is it just eliminating that $50, that 50-cent subsidy?
This is for theater, correct?
Yeah.
So that was one aspect of it. They did not give numbers on how much revenue or how much they subsidized for that 50-cent ticket. That was one thing that I mentioned, but not necessarily the entire argument of the K-State privilege, that the committee discussed.
I just want to check that you didn't have a follow-up, so.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Next up in questions is Intern Coordinator Heatherman again.
Who presented on behalf of the different departments? Was it primarily administrators or was any of it student driven?
So everyone that came was an administrator. I gave the opportunity for anyone to bring anyone that they wanted in. For the art department, it was Matthew Gaynor. For music, theater, dance, Ebony Theater, it was Benjamin Stark. For English department, it was Karen Westman. For McCain Auditorium, it was Todd Holmberg. For International Student and Scholar Services, it was Bailey Stacy Bailey. For student organizations, it was Alan Himes. For architecture, planning, and design, it was Dean DeNoble. So no students came, but they had every opportunity to. And I've also reached out to every entity director saying that they do have the right to come debate next week in Student Senate and or come as an open period speaker. And so they have every single right to bring students if they wish, but no one did that for presentations.
Next question I have, there's a follow-up.
Benjamin Stark presented on all 3, music, theater, and dance, just to clarify.
Yes, music, theater, and dance. And if you're looking at the previous line items, that also includes Ebony Theater.
Next question, if I get this right, is from Caucus Leader Carlson. You have the floor.
Hi, I apologize if you already mentioned this, I may have missed it, but what is the total decrease for the whole fine arts?
Yes, so previously, and granted, this is before all of the insufficient funds things. So this was the original fiscal year 21 funding. For all of fine arts, it was $304,100. The new amount for fiscal year 22 would be $155,397. So for the first year, we're looking at a savings of $148,000. Second year, we're looking at a savings of $125,000. Third year, we're looking at a savings of $128,000. And the reason it goes down is because the McCain funding is staggered to go up over the 3 years.
And then your follow-up is granted.
Yeah, do you have that in percentages by chance? Sorry.
I can do it right now. New minus old divided by old.
I can just do it too. I just wasn't sure if you had it readily available. That is a little easier for me to describe to people, I think. So I can do it as well.
1 second. It valued out on me. I don't know why. That may be a question for me to do in a moment.
Okay, that might,
304 before, right?
Yeah.
It looks like someone's working on it. We'll get an answer to that momentarily.
Sorry.
There is another question in the chat from Caucus Leader Diaz de Leon.
Hi, Madison. Yeah, quick question for you over music. So as far as the distribution of those funds to the music department, which, you know, that it's clumped together with vocals, band, and orchestra, correct? Or is that kind of how they presented it to you?
Let me show you the slide.
Okay, perfect.
This was the slide that was presented for music for us. And I have follow-up questions as well. Like, sorry, you can ask your question, sorry.
But yeah, so with that, so who has kind of the say as to where that money goes to in that sense?
In terms of music?
Yeah.
So that will be the person in charge of the department. I believe Jeff Ward is the person that is in charge. Benjamin Stark is the person that presented to us. So I would assume that it would probably be collaboration between those two, as well as accountants, other leaderships, et cetera.
Thank you.
Time for questions expired, but there's a few more questions. So if people are willing to extend again, we can do that. I have motion by Chair Booz to extend by 5 minutes. Seconded by Senator Gomes. Are there any objections to another 5 minutes for questions? Seeing none, it looks like we're still cranking out an answer on the percentages question.
I'll type it in the chat.
Okay, it'll be typed in the chat when it's ready. So the percentages will be there. Just trying to make sure I have the order right. Intern Coordinator Heatherman has another question.
This is a two-parter. So did the committee view the information provided on the slideshow as sufficient to make that decision? And if not, can you speak to what follow-up questions were asked and what information was received?
Yes. Let me pull it up. Are you okay if I share screen again, please? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I gotta switch tabs real quick. Okay, so this is a compilation of a majority of the follow-up questions that were asked. Okay, I'll answer question first. Okay, so comm studies, theater, and dance. Technically, they have comm studies in there, even though they aren't funded at all, which is one of the reasons why we changed it. So specifically for theater and dance, these are all the follow-up questions that we asked. If you would like me to go through them one by one, I can. I also would maybe suggest looking on Org Central, where all of this information, as well as presentations and minutes, are posted, since we did ask some quite thorough follow-up questions. So just for example, you know, one of our questions regards like, where does this allocation go to? You know, it funds music. It says, yes, funds music along with hard copies and other materials. Up here, we discussed that guest artists do not have ticketed events, looking at where their revenue from those goes. Yeah, sorry, I mean, I can talk more, but I think this document could be helpful.
That answered it.
Did you have a second part?
No, that.
Okay,
that
cool.
was two parts.
Next up for questions is Chair Booz again.
Yeah, since we've gotten the numbers, and the percentage decreases from like the original fiscal year 21, documents, would you happen to have the numbers that we allocated them after all of the callbacks for this?
You know I do.
Nice.
Okay, another spreadsheet, ladies and gentlemen. So this one's a little big. I'm very sorry. Okay, so I would suggest looking at this portion right here. So this is their original fiscal year 21 funding. Their funding after the spring insufficient funds clause. I didn't include percentage decreases because some of them are staggered and I thought that would be confusing. Fiscal year 21 funding after insufficient funds, and then the forward decrease. So actually, I have it right here. The decreases amount is around 48.9% for all of fine arts. Is that what you came up with, Blake?
Wait, off of post-COVID or pre-COVID?
I don't remember.
I did it by year, but if you average those out, it's about 48.
Okay, so This document is also on the spreadsheet or also on Org Central, but I think this is probably my favorite one because you're able to see the progression of what their COVID funding was, what their new funding is. I will just give a little disclaimer in that although COVID is happening and it is affecting our budget, it was not the only thing that we considered in allocations. And we know that going forward, there's a chance that COVID will be a lot better. And so I think that these funding decisions are made independent from COVID as well. But if you would like to see the trajectory of their funding.
Yeah, follow up. Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, like the amount after both the insufficient funds clauses is substantially lower than the amount that we're going to fund.
I can answer that question since I had a lot to do with insufficient funds. And like when we were reviewing insufficient funds originally, like one of the considerations we made was obviously like the ability for people to like continue having normal operations in COVID. And obviously like one of the groups that would be impacted the most would be fine arts groups that typically have in-person events that have large physical crowds at them. So that was why like fine arts in particular, like took a huge cut, probably one of the largest across the board in the original like insufficient funds process that we did early in the fall, because that was like, we were reviewing their operations and we realized that, you know, a vast majority of their operations really just can't continue this year. So why should we give them money if they're not going to be having shows or doing things like that? So time has expired again, but there were no additional questions in the chat. So unless people have any additional questions, we will continue on with our meeting. Seeing no extra questions or no motions to extend, we will just continue on. Thank you, Madison, for presenting on that. With that, we will now move on. We've actually, hold on, let me screen share again so I can get the agenda up so it's accessible. So at this point in time, we have exhausted our legislative agenda for this evening. So we will now move into second open period tonight. Are there any speakers for second open period? Please just indicate so in the chat, if I can get it pulled up. Hold on. Or actually, I don't need to share, I guess, if it's that. Okay, so Caucus Leader Phillips is the first one, sorry.
Yeah, so just really quick, I know when I put those numbers out in the chat for the percentage decreases, those are obviously some big numbers that we're usually not used to seeing with privilege fees. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns for the committee or any of us specifically, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm just gonna lay it out there. The next sentence is probably gonna be a long one. And so it would probably make it a little bit shorter if we have some discussions beforehand. Not that those discussions during Senate are not important, those should definitely be had. But if you'd like to know our line of thinking on a lot of things, please either come to Privilege Fee Committee at 5:30 on Monday in Wildcat Chamber in a hybrid format, or you can talk to either myself, Madison, any other committee member. I'm sure I'd be more than happy to speak with you about that. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to us if you have any concerns, thoughts, opinions, anything at all. And I stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Caucus Leader Phillips? Yes, there is one from Intern Coordinator Heatherman.
Vice Chair Phillips, can you please update the last two, or upload the last 2 weeks of minutes before debate next week?
The last 2 minutes should be on Org Central already. Or the last 2 weeks.
February 8th as the last.
February 8th.
Maybe it's.
What's the?
We didn't have committees because of snow day that one time.
Oh, okay.
That is correct. Wait, but is there not one from this week?
I'll look, but I don't care about this week. I was there.
Oh yeah, duh. Well, I'll make sure everything's up to date either way.
Are there any additional questions for Caucus Leader Phillips? Seeing none, Chair Colburn, you have the floor next.
Hi, everyone. I have a couple different things. One, I hope that you're having fun in person. Sorry, I'm not there, but I was actually looking at some old privy contracts. I just Googled them, and they're actually, you can find some of them through the SGA website through like history and legislation and things like that. But it looks like for that 2013 fiscal year, so in 2011, 2012 school year, they reviewed Lafine and counseling services. They don't actually in that legislation talk about numbers or percentage increases in the whereas clauses. I was actually kind of shocked. As you can see, the piece of legislation we were discussing tonight had like tons of whereas clauses. The whereas clause in all of the legislation from Purify passed that year, there were only 3 whereas clauses in each bill, and each were like 2 lines long. So I think there were some whereas clauses that were that long just on their own in this year. So they were just really different, but I would guess that Lafine just got some pretty big increases. The next year, they actually showed like some of those dollar amounts for the union, and the union contracts in total got about like $900,000 of increases by my quick math, which is not great arithmetic, but it works. So there's just a few kind of big back-to-back increases to those entities. So that was some of that. Putting that aside, one of my roles on campus is I work as the student coordinator for the Staley School of Leadership Studies. I get to coordinate 2 different programs. One is the Snyder Leadership Legacy Fellows. That's a group of seniors of about 30 seniors who get to work with Coach Snyder and different coaches across Manhattan and even the region, and just kind of work on senior development and pieces like that. So it's kind of like a senior development honor group style thing. Anyway, if you're a current junior and you're interested in being part of that something your senior year, that application is actually due tomorrow at noon. You should definitely be able to get it done tonight. There's nothing too extensive, but I definitely encourage anyone to apply. I'm not a fellow myself, but I got to coordinate the program this year, and it's been really cool to kind of see all of those pieces. So I would encourage that. The other piece is I know a lot of people in here are really interested in public service and might be interested in kind of how that intersects in international or like local service realms. And I coordinate our international service teams program, and we are hosting a series of workshops about international service and topics that are affecting it. So if that's something that you are interested in, number one, you can check my Instagram and the Staley School Instagram, and they've got kind of posters for those up, but I just wanted to kind of give those programs some shout outs. So anyway, hope you all are having fun. I can answer any questions here or just in the chat too. Thanks.
Are there any questions for Chair Colburn? Seeing none, are there any further second open period speakers tonight? Seeing none from anyone else, I actually have one. For those who aren't aware, I'm a member of Blue Key Senior Honorary. And so we have a variety of different things that we do on campus, but one of the things that we do is we actually have a large amount of scholarships that we give out. And our application numbers have been a little lower this year. So if you are interested in looking for some additional scholarship opportunities, I'm gonna try to paste something in the chat really quickly. Okay, it's a really long chat message, but I pasted all of that. I would highly encourage anyone who is interested to apply. We're looking for some additional people, and free money is always great. Like when all you have to do is write a single essay for it. So if that's something that you're interested in exploring, it's literally broken down the different types of scholarships that we have. So I would highly encourage anyone who is free or anyone who's interested in applying for those to do so. Because yeah, that's just one of the things that we do, and we'd love to give some money to some deserving students. So does anyone have any questions for me about that?
Your chat message did get cut off.
Oh, it did. I think there's a character limit. Hold on. Yeah. It just missed the contact person. But you can contact me if you have questions, but also, yeah, hold on. I'll copy that last part again. So in case people want it, it's Michaela. She's really great. So there's that. So again, just wanted to pass that opportunity along to everyone right now since you're on the call. You can go to Blue Key's website if you want more info about that. And it's just an Org Central form to fill out. Any questions? Seeing none, are there any additional open period speakers before we do Senate shoutouts? Seeing none, we'll do Senate shoutouts. So Speaker Pro Tempore Billman, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, we actually have the honor of hearing from intern Peyton Lynn tonight. So if intern Lynn would like to come up to the podium.
Okay, hi, everybody. Senate shoutouts. Marta, I love you. Intern Salmon, you are a neato burrito. I am still trapped in a Senate shoutout form. Shout out to Nick Saya. I can't wait to join the live stream someday and see the life you bring to the podium. Maggie, you can step on my throat. Shout out to Brian Blood for attempting to correct Hannah's IT skills every week. Ashley Grills, you have my heart. Shout out to Nick Saya for all his hard work in GR. Shout out to intern Salmon for reading a commendation tonight. Shout out to Ashley Grills for being an inquisitive mind on privilege fee, making us a better committee as a whole. Go RJ Salmon for being an awesome involved intern. Shout out to Jacob Long for always being thoughtful in his debates and intern program contributions. Shout out to Madison Brown for being awesome. RJ, you read that resolution like a champ. Shout out to all of our new Phase 2 interns. Shout out to Peyton Lynn for bringing spirit and sunshine to every meeting. Blake Phillips, he's as good a senator as anyone in this body, and he works his tail off to benefit everyone. Shout out to Logan Cohn for consistently showing up, eager to learn about SGA. Chair Booz, I like your brain and I like listening to you talk. Shout out to Will Bannister for making sure nobody in the intern program takes themselves too seriously. Shout out to Ethan Brown for jumping right into Phase 2 and always asking good questions. Shout out to Ariana for being a bomb mock parliamentarian. Shout out to RJ Salmon for carrying the DEI commendation tonight and for telling Hannah not to skip dates for intern meetings because she is running out of time. Shout out to Chair Brown for doing the most as Priv Fee Committee Chair. Maggie, your outfit is cute and you're a queen. Hey, Senator Scheer, you're a gem. Blake Phillips, you're the kindest human. Thanks for being you. Shout out to Creighton Glasscock for having the tallest hair in the West. Shout out to intern Blood for stepping up and volunteering for ACT and having a dope last name. Parliamentarian Arnold, you are looking mega fly tonight. Can I get a motion to move? More like, can I get an owa owa? Shout out to Madison Brown for being a freak in the Excel sheets.
You all are getting more creative every week. It kind of scares me. With that, we will now finish up our agenda. For reference of legislation tonight, Bill 32, the one about committee terminology, will be referred to the Senate Operations Committee. Bill 33, the one about the Fine Arts Privilege Fee, will be referred to the Privilege Fee Committee. So if you're interested in either of those are the committees that they'll be discussed in the next week. We will now move into our second and final roll call for the night. So Maggie, I'll turn it back over to you again.
Sweet, thanks. Atchison.
Here.
Bain.
Here.
Booz.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Bruce. Bruna. Burke.
Here.
Sorry, I need to move some stuff around so I can see the chat. My bad. Should I have that done? Okay, Carlson.
Here.
Carr. Clements.
Here.
Colburn.
Here.
Crosslow.
Here.
Diaz de Leon.
Here.
Dillaboo.
Here.
Doc.
Here.
Dunlap.
Here.
Frederick.
Here.
Glasscock.
Here.
Grills.
Here.
Gromes.
Here.
Hamlin. Harmon.
Here.
Hurd.
Here.
Heimerman.
Here.
Hernandez. Hutchings.
Here.
Jambunathan.
Here.
James Rose.
Here.
Kid. Oh, sorry. Kid.
Here.
Levi. Loya. McKee.
Here.
McVeigh. Muthu Kumar.
Yeah, here.
Noel.
Here.
Nunink.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Panikatu. Thank you. Porter. Purdy.
Here.
Richenberg.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Rossi. Shear.
Here.
Shunjay. Snyder Blaine. Fonts. Wallace. Wells. Oh, thanks, Senator Rossi. Willis Jackson.
Here.
Willis Reese. All right, and Wintholtz. All right, let me fix one real quick. Again, thanks guys for being so prompt. I appreciate that. 36 senators present. Thank you, everyone.
With that, we're now ready for adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Caucus Leader Kidd, like always moved, that we adjourn until next week, same time, same hybridized place. That was seconded by Chair Booz. Are there any objections to that? Seeing none, everyone, we will adjourn. Thank you. I hope that everyone has a great weekend and a great rest of their week.